We appreciate you here, and then we'll take that question around in reverse on the panel. Go ahead, Josh, please.
So yeah, Donald Trump systematically, and so there's one part of that last part that we were just talking about. There's three portions, and is there a threat? I do agree with Michael that we are moving into what I call the firestorm. Michael and actually we were on a panel a few weeks ago talking exactly about this. I mean, you have Hezbollah Unit 910, you have all these other organizations already in the United States. What we have to remember is that we have these actors on the global stage that are these leaders, the deep state, Obama, all these people, Joe Biden. But behind them is a hidden hand. There's the deep state intelligence apparatus. This is NGOs. This is think tanks. You have the old guard financial infrastructure, the banks of London, and all of the old Khazarian infrastructure that is spread throughout the world. And then you have the international crime syndicate. This is the gangs and the cartels and the private armies that run all of the illicit crimes throughout all of these major Western countries. That system has to be taken down systematically, and that's what we are watching, the systematic destruction of this old guard system. But behind that is something much, much greater, and that is what I would call the hidden hand or the watchers. And that's where Michael, I know, gets into this. I get into this, that there's something esoteric and biblical behind all of this, that there is something much, much deeper that is an enemy that is trying to be defeated here. So we have to understand that we're not out of the woods yet. Now, on the financial system, at the same time, you have to defund all of this system. You have to rise up a new parallel system in its place, and that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing since he came in on January 20th, 2025. He's been rising up a new system to merge quantum technology, artificial intelligence, and blockchain into a new quantum financial infrastructure. We've seen the whole placemat being laid for this, the trade negotiations and deals that he's bringing about, the $13.5 trillion of investment capital, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, you have UAE, that's $10 trillion there over the next 10 years. You have $3.5 trillion from SoftBank and other corporations being invested in U.S. infrastructure, primarily those three components: AI, quantum computing, and blockchain. You have gold rehypothecation, which we heard is happening right now. If people don't know what that is the U.S. loans out 1,000 tons of gold to another country. That country takes the 1,000 tons of gold, they put it on their balance sheet. Now they loan out 1,000 tons of gold. That country holds it on their balance sheet. They loan out 1,000 tons of gold. They hold it on their balance sheet. Now you have 5,000 tons of gold, but there's actually only 1,000 tons of actual gold. Gold rehypothecation means we're calling all that back into the United States of America. Everybody has to rebalance their balance sheets, which is going to cause the gold price, as we've seen, to begin skyrocketing. Various different parts and components to this. You have the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, and the Stablecoin Bill Act that all just came out. The end of central bank digital currencies under the Bank of International Settlements 2022 report called the Unified Ledger Framework. They brought about a whole infrastructure for CBDCs and how it integrates into the global private market foundation, basically replacing the old SWIFT system. This has been systematically dismantled by the Trump administration by coming in and just saying, not happening. We're going to use privatized stable coins. And the way that this works, and to keep the free markets actually going kind of under the 10th Amendment and keeping it competitive, is we have to understand that these are private companies, but any company can come up and introduce a stable coin. And you'll see over the next 6 months that the Department of the Treasury is going to issue a 50-year gold bond, a 30-year gold bond, and a 20-year gold bond, as well as Bitcoin bonds, 20, 30, and 50-year, that are redeemable in those currencies in 50, 20, and 30 years, that the stable coin companies are going to buy, and then they're going to mint new stable coin currency, which is going to be brought about as legitimate currency, changing House Joint Resolution from 1933-129, which basically brought the Federal Reserve note in as the standardized currency. So we're going to see that transition over the next year. This is phase 3 of Donald Trump's plan. It's bringing the integration of this new financial system in place. There's much more to it than that. So if anybody wants more info, we can do a show together on that, John, or anybody here, or the audience. If they want more info, they can go to my Substack. But it's coming. It's coming fast. And the Federal Reserve right now is being systematically dismantled. Central banks are being completely shut out. Donald Trump's tariffs, that was the war against the central bankers. If you understand international finance and you understand how trade operates, you have $1 billion of oil leaving Saudi Arabia coming to the United States of America. That company's got to pay for that oil to come to the United States, get on trains and tractor trailers, get shipped across the country to a refining plant. From the refining plant, shipped out to tractor trailers to gas stations, and they don't get paid till it gets pumped in your car. So where do they get the $1 billion? Well, they borrow it from the large financial institutions, which are regulated by the central banks. And the central banks are loaning them the capitalization to loan to these businesses. So when Donald Trump comes out there and creates a complete tariff war, what he actually did was kill the central banks around the world. He startled their whole monopoly to the point where these countries have to come in and start renegotiating these deals, which screws up everything that the central banks had put in place, allowing China and various other countries like that to rise up with subsidies. That's no longer the case. Now everybody's on an equal playing field. And so we're going to see the ramifications over this over the next 6 to 12 months with the rise of this new financial system. And you're going to see the old financial system, the fiat system, crash and burn. But in the midst of it, you're going to see the new financial system rise up.